Hi everyone, my name is Kinsley, and for this video I will be preparing Capretto Con Polenta, or young goat with polenta.
Alright, so we just got our goat meat, our 4 pounds of goat meat from Burton Meat Market in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So yeah, here's our goat meat, and we're gonna go get our other supplies at Meijer. Alright, so it's a different day. We're at Meijer right now, getting all of our ingredients.
The first step in preparing Capretto Con Polenta is to wash and salt the goat meat. Place the goat in a large saucepan deep enough to hold the broth and wine. The next step is to peel the onion and garlic bulb. Cut the onion in half and chop only half the onion and 1 clove of the garlic into small pieces. Step 3 is to add the onion and garlic to the goat meat. Then we are going to brown everything together over high heat with oil.
Okay, next we're going to be adding a little bit of oil. You can either use grapeseed oil or extra virgin olive oil.
Step 4 is while the meat is browning, combine and bring the wine, beef broth, thyme, sage, bay leaves, and rosemary to a boil in a separate pot. Here I am adding fresh rosemary since I already had the plant. If you are using fresh rosemary, 3 sprigs equal 1.5 teaspoons of dry rosemary. Step 5, once the broth mixture is boiling, add half a cup of butter or 1 stick to the pot and let that melt. If you are using fresh rosemary like I am, this is the step where we remove the rosemary sprigs from the broth. The next step is once the meat is brown and the butter is melted in the broth mixture, we are going to pour the broth over the meat and leave it to thicken over moderate heat with a lid on for an hour. Stir occasionally. Step 7 is while the meat is cooking, so that the meat and polenta get done at the same time. We're going to start making the polenta by boiling the water and milk in a pot or large saucepan. Once that is boiling, slowly pour the polenta or cornmeal into the hot liquid while whisking to avoid clumping. Constantly stir the polenta until it thickens, then turn the heat down to low.
Okay, now that the heat is on low, we're going to stir occasionally for the next 30 minutes so that it starts to thicken up.
While the polenta cooks for 30 minutes, grate half a cup of Parmesan cheese to go into the polenta.
Okay, now that it's been 30 minutes, I'll add 2 tablespoons of butter to the polenta and half a cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And mix that in.
The next step, now that the polenta is done and the meat has been cooking for an hour, is we are going to arrange the meat on a serving plate. Keep the heat on as we will make gravy with the broth in the next step. Next we're making the broth into a gravy to go on top of our goat meat. And we're going to do that with a little bit of cornstarch. Here I am slowly pouring the cornstarch into the broth a little bit at a time because it can become gummy very quickly if you add too much cornstarch. Luckily my family likes a thin gravy, so it does not take a lot to get to our ideal consistency. Step 13 is to turn off the heat for the gravy and arrange everything on a plate to serve. Step 14 is optional, but for flavor you can grate lemon zest on top of the meat. Salt and pepper can also be added at this step. Finally, for the tasting and review, my whole family decided to try this dish as well, so they kept coming into the kitchen when I was recording this, so I just wanted to apologize in advance and warn you. But anyways, here's my review.
She's got to videotape herself eating it.
It reminds me a lot of venison.
The goat meat?
And then the polenta has a very starchy taste, like potatoes. Yeah. But the gravy is really good, the broth. 10 out of 10.